Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Could I ask you to rise, please? I'd like to call on Councillor Iannone to lead us in prayer.
If you could join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I'd like to open the proceedings this evening with the adoption of the council minutes of January 26, 2009, moved by Councillor Fisher, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo. Any comments or questions? Having seen none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. This time I'll ask for any disclosures of a pecuniary interest by any members of council. Yes, Councillor Wing.
From the Corporate Services Committee meeting held immediately prior to this meeting, anything regarding the Board of Museums funding or properties.
Okay, thank you. So noted. Are there any others? Having seen none, we'll move on then to deputations. Ladies and gentlemen, the first deputation this evening is the Women's Place of Niagara, South Niagara. We have Joe Tallarico and Tom Snodgrass, along with Niagara Regional Police, who will address the council on the upcoming 7th annual CARES Foundation Strikeout Violence Bowling tournament that supports Women's Place. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Joe and Tom. Great.
Your Worship, Mayor Celsi, and Council, I thank you for this opportunity to speak with you this evening about the annual Strikeout Violence Bowling Tournament that will be taking place on February 27th at Cataract Bowling. I'm here as co-chair of the Strikeout Violence Bowling Committee on behalf of Women's Place of South Niagara to formally kick off this annual event, to inform, educate the community about our services and issues of domestic violence. As you are aware, Women's Place of South Niagara operates 2 shelters in the Niagara region, the Welland Shelter and Nova House here in Niagara Falls. The shelters not only provide safe refuge, but also provide 24-hour crisis lines, counseling programs for women and children, empowerment programs, legal support, transitional support, which assists families with housing, employment, education, obtaining the necessities of life. Women and children experiencing abuse and violence are able to access the shelters and the many free confidential programs and services 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Last year alone, the Niagara Falls shelter received nearly 1,500 crisis calls, providing safe shelter to 128 women and 102 children, as well as providing support and services to an additional 1,000 women and children through our outreach service programs. As Women's Place of South Niagara is only funded 70% by the Ministry of Community and Social Services, the agency is required to fundraise the remaining portion through private donations, municipal support, and through events such as the CARES Foundation Strikeout Violence Tournament. The Strikeout Violence event assists them in bridging the gap between the government funding and the required annual operating dollars. All funds raised through this event support both the shelters for women and children and help maintain the vital operations of the shelter with programs that educate and counsel women. Without such events such as this, Women's Place of South Niagara would not be able to continue to do what they do. The Strikeout Violence event is a community-partnered event with the Niagara Regional Police Services, and for the first time this year, sponsored by the Fallsview Casino CARES Foundation. It is at this time I would like to introduce the fundraising chair for Women's Place of South Niagara, Niagara Board of Directors, Tom Snodgrass. Tom.
Thank you, Joe. On behalf of the Women's Place South Niagara Board and all the staff, I want to thank Mayor Celsi and Council for allowing us to be here today. The Strikeout Violence campaign is an effort to empower the communities of the Niagara region in helping us reach our goal of eradicating domestic violence. Thousands of women and children are in violent homes across the community. Together, our communities can continue to diminish the stigma of abused women and children and provide safe shelter, counseling, education, and transitional services that help families live safe, violent-free lives. This event gets bigger each year and is a testament to our community. The bowlers and sponsors represent a broad spectrum of our society. police, business, healthcare, social workers, politicians, service clubs, and just plain everyday caring people. Although this is an extremely fun and worthwhile event, I look forward to the day when it will not be necessary to hold it. Not only do we challenge our communities to become ambassadors for the many victims of violence, but we also challenge the businesses of the Niagara region to step forward and become sponsors of the event. In addition to the tremendous support from the community, we would like to challenge the City of Niagara Falls to again enter a team in the event and become a sponsor of this annual event in the form of a lane sponsor. We will be challenging all the cities in the region to take part in this event, and we'll be presenting the top city of the tournament with an award at the dinner reception held at Club Italia immediately following bowling. We feel confident that with Mayor Selsey and his personal bowling expertise, as well as our city councilors, we will be represented by the City of Niagara Falls well. Thank you again for your continued support and participation. On behalf of Women's Place, the Strikeout Violence Committee, and the hundreds of clients that Women's Place services, we thank you for your time this evening.
Very much. Thank you, Tom. And Joe, I think you said it just because I have my own bowling ball. So anyway, Councillor Ionone, members of council.
Thank you, Councillor Maves, Councillor Giordati, myself, and Dean have been the team for the last few years. Councillor Wing joined us last year. I know the four of us are willing to bowl again this year, and I hope Janice will join us too. She actually bowled better than I did, so I don't even know why I go. But nonetheless, we'd like to enter that team.
Great. And also, I usually have a chance to bowl with the chief and others. So, Councillor Maves?
It's my pleasure. As a matter of fact, Councillor Carey and I are thinking of seriously going halves on our own bowls.
Share it.
So we discussed that. So every year we get our that's right.
So we have at least.
100 this year.
So we may have then two teams. Is that what you're suggesting?
We'll try.
Okay. So, gentlemen, I hope that's going to encourage everybody else to participate.
We would like, we can have 6 to 8 members on a team.
Okay.
So, you know, if we can get 6 to 8, that'd be great.
Okay, great. Well, it looks like we're well on our way.
All right.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Are there any more questions from members of council? Thank you for the good work that you do on behalf of the residents of Niagara Falls and certainly Women's Place and the effort that you've extended. It's an excellent facility. It's like you say, it's unfortunate we have to have it, but we do have a state-of-the-art facility, which we're very, very pleased to have to offer that support and security. And again, thank you for making the quality of life here in Niagara better. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members of council, our second deputation this evening is from the Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee. I'm very pleased that we have a good number of the committee members present with us. In addition to the presenters, we have with us the coordinator, who is my executive assistant, Ms. Carrie Campbell. I'd like to acknowledge the good work she's doing with the students. And in particular, we have the co-chairs, Laura Walsh from St. Paul High School and Casey Traylor from Stanford, who are going to make a presentation to inform council of their annual plan of ideas and ongoing projects in the community this year. So welcome, ladies, and the podium is yours.
Good evening, Mayor Salsi and members of council. I am Laura Walsh, and this is Casey Taylor, and we are the co-chairs of the Niagara Falls Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee. And we would like to thank you for taking this time to hear us. We wanted to use this opportunity to update you on the committee's progress and what we hope to achieve in 2009. This year, as a committee, we've decided to focus on promoting the theme of the youth voice in our city through active community service and events that focus on issues we find to be important. In keeping with our theme, the committee has chosen to take on 2 events and 2 initiatives, as opposed to previous years when we have had up to 7 events. We feel that this choice will allow us to better represent the youth interest in our community and to concentrate on quality instead of quantity. Our first initiative this year involved perpetuating our relationship with Niagara Transit through semi-annual 25-cent student bus rides. This was an effort to lessen carbon emissions per capita in our city and has been successful in the past. Although the student ridership was not as high as we had expected, MIAC looks ahead to greater success when the student discount is offered again over the March break. Our committee has brainstormed new ideas to ensure this growth and improvement. Our next event is the Battle of the Bands on April 2nd. For the past 6 years, MIAC's Battle of the Bands has provided a necessary outlet for young, aspiring musicians from all 5 high schools in Niagara Falls. This has been one of MIAC's largest and most successful events and is well anticipated by many of Niagara's youth. The committee is excited to host this event and looks forward to its progress in the future. From April 21st to April 25th, MIAC is tackling the issue of environmental awareness through its second annual Green Week. This year, we plan to make Green Week bigger and better through more promotion and community involvement. As a youth, one of our greatest concerns is the health of our environment, as we are the ones who will have to face the long-term effects. Our passion for the environment was proven through the proposal we made last year to have plastic bags banned from all city-owned and operated properties. We are proud to have initiated this eco-friendly action and would like to thank you for listening to our youth voice on this issue. Our final event will take place on May 14th. The members of MIAC this year wanted to promote unity and camaraderie between Niagara's 5 high schools through one central event. We are currently planning an all-school fair with healthy competition and fun activities involving school spirit. We are also partnering with Hand in Hand, a student-run social justice group, to use this fair as a fundraiser for a development project in Sierra Leone. A lot of thought and creativity is being put into this event, not only because it is new, but also because the youth feel that it is fostering a concept of interschool friendship that is long overdue.
As well as being active in our own events, MIAC continues to volunteer for meaningful community service within the city through programs like Out of the Cold, Adopt a Street, helping at Winter Festival of Lights events, the Santa Claus Parade, and more. As mentioned, we have had a sincere focus on strengthening the youth voice this year, and we intend to continue to keep that up. Since September, MIAC students have taken a very active role in speaking to the community. We represent Niagara Falls on a youth panel at the Region's Public Health Summit, where we discussed the importance of youth engagement. Members of our team were highlighted presenters at the Niagara Region's presenter of their Living in Niagara report, where they outline what young people see as important focuses at the region as the region continues to grow and develop. Along with the other student representatives from around Niagara, we met the regional chairman, Peter Partington, to discuss issues of governance and retaining young people in our area. One of the accomplishments we are most proud of is that a number of MIAC students have been working on the upload page in the Niagara Falls Review that appears every Friday. We are so excited to have a forum in which young people can contribute, share their thoughts, and discuss issues of importance on a regular basis. We have worked on this partnership with the Niagara Falls Review for more than a year and a half, and we are thrilled that Upload, the youth page in Niagara Falls Review, is now appearing regularly. I hope that all of you have had a chance to see it and will have a look at it from time to time at what the youth in your community have to say. We have done all of this since September, and we look forward to continuing to strengthen the youth voice and volunteer in Niagara Falls. Looking forward, we have already committed to working with young students at the city's family literacy event being held in April at the McBain Center. We are proud of what we have been able to accomplish in our community so far and endeavor to achieve similar goals in the future. We hope to progress in our positive representation of the youth voice in Niagara Falls and truly appreciate your continued support. Thank you.
And thank you very much. To Laurel and Casey, thank you for your presentation this evening. Perhaps we can ask the members of the Mayor's Youth Advisory Committee to stand so they can be recognized by members of council, this year's committee. Thank you again. We appreciate the good work you're doing, and you are the up-and-coming leaders in our community, so we appreciate your involvement, and we want to stress that we can't say enough about the good work you do and how important your voice is to us. So thank you again for your involvement as young people in our community. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Excuse me, any questions, members of council on Mayor's Youth? No? Thank you. Okay. We'll call up the next group as well, and I'm really pleased. Another group that I've had some very good dealings with. The Niagara Falls Community Policing Committee is here with us this evening, and the representatives who are going to be making presentations this evening are Todd Bright, Dan D'Amico from Niagara Regional Police as the Inspector for District 2, and also Jeff Levins from Niagara Regional Police Service. So good evening, Todd. Welcome, and we're glad to see you here.
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for having us, members of council.
Great.
You will see up this evening that we have pictures of graffiti that we've taken from across our cities, and we provided you with an extensive package, and my goal tonight is not to go through the entire package, but to have a quick synopsis about who we are and what we've done and what our concern is. I've been the chair of the Niagara Falls Community Policing the last couple of years. I've been involved with the community since 1999, and as I look around the table here, I see the founder of this committee, His Worship Mayor Selsey. I see one of the former leaders of our committee, Councillor Ione, and our present member, Shirley Fisher, and I thank you for your leadership. Community policing really is made up of a cross-section of our community, from educational partners, retired folks, service club members, members of the Niagara Regional Police Service, concerned citizens, and also members of the RCMP. The goal of community policing is to develop an equal partnership with the Niagara Regional Police Service. We are interested in maintaining public order. We are interested in preventing crime. We are a group that helps determine priorities. We are a group that's proactive in solving problems in Niagara Falls. I want to give you a bit of a history. In the year 2005, our community policing group began to recognize graffiti as a problem. Graffiti, in fact, is not art. Graffiti is, in fact, vandalism. We were aware that was what was happening to our cities, St. Catharines and Thorold, and as we looked around, we thought we noticed a problem here. So trying to be proactive, we brought Inspector Heinz Cook from the Toronto Police Services down. He has run a very successful graffiti education and eradication program in Toronto. We had an open house on May 2nd, 2006, and we ran this at the McBain Center. The session in itself was very, very informative, and again, what was brought home was graffiti is not art. Graffiti is, in fact, vandalism. However, from that, we didn't really get the response that we'd hoped to from the community. I think we had some comments like, it isn't a problem. It isn't a problem in Niagara Falls. Do you have any data on the problem? And when we referred back to our partnership with the Niagara Regional Police, we just didn't have the data. We didn't have the information. All we had was really a gut feeling. So as a group, we had to go back and think about this problem. Was it really a problem? Well, we instituted a problem-solving model called SARA, and what we decided to do is we decided that we would on our own go out and divide up the city and take it upon ourselves to collect the data. So the city was divided up amongst our committee members, and we went out with our cameras, and we were fortunate enough to have Victor Frilla with us, and Victor developed a very intricate Excel spreadsheet. And from our analysis, we collected hundreds of pictures of graffiti across the city. Our analysis of the information after we looked at the pictures was this: there's no area in the city that's immune to this problem. Our parks are not immune to this problem. Businesses aren't immune to this problem. Schools aren't immune to this problem. Our bridges and overpasses aren't immune to this problem. Utility boxes and mailboxes and our recreation facilities are not immune to this problem. And just to show you how concerned I am, I live in historical Stamford, a beautiful area of town. And when I first did my collection about a year and a half ago, I collected about 30 pictures on my own, just roaming around. Take that 1 year later. 1 year later, I collected 64. 64 on top of the 40 I'd collected in beautiful, historic Stamford. So you can see, by any stretch of the imagination, that the problem in graffiti / vandalism in Niagara Falls is growing. Well, why should we care? Well, unfortunately, graffiti presents a perception problem to us and for others. It's a problem of urban decay. It's the beginning of urban decay. If we accept this happening into our city, what will other people think of us? We're a world-class destination. There's no question about that. But if we are going to tend to let this graffiti problem, vandalism problem continue, we will no longer be seen as a world-class destination. The question will be, would you want to invest in a community that allows that to happen? The graffiti problem is multifaceted. There's no question about that. It requires prevention and education. It requires both protection and removal. It requires information gathering. And at another level, it requires prosecution. What are we after here this evening? Well, very simply, we would like you to recognize that this is a growing problem. We would like you, as the political leaders of our city, to set up a stakeholders meeting to establish strategies for our next step. We believe the stakeholders include, but are not excluded to, city staff, councillors, utility companies, block parents, service club, local educational institutions, Niagara Regional Police, the Crown Attorney's Office, local BIAs, the Boys and Girls Club, and other agencies. a stakeholder group put together to develop some strategies. No doubt, a current review of our bylaws would also be important to this most important strategy. I would like to introduce you now to the new inspector of Niagara Falls, Inspector Dan D'Amico.
Thank you, Todd. Mayor Salsi, members of council, thank you very much for allowing this presentation tonight. I'm here just to support and echo some of the comments that were brought to the council tonight in respect to this growing issue. I particularly would like to thank Chair Todd Bright and Vice Chair Linda Page and the members of the committee who have worked very hard on this initiative and continue to work hard in identifying issues throughout our community, this being one of them. I'm here to represent the Niagara Regional Police Service and also as a member and partner in the Community Policing Committee. I'm here also to advise that despite the number of visuals that you're seeing today and literally hundreds of tags and graffiti markings throughout our community, unfortunately, referring back to 2008, only 13 of these were reported to our service, officially reported. Again, awareness has been ongoing through the community representatives, policing representatives. However, officially 13 members of our community reported to Niagara Regional Police. This is an alarmingly low number, which certainly we would need the support of the community to move deeper into our enforcement initiatives. Comparatively, we had only 15 incidents in our neighboring Niagara-on-the-Lake, and fortunately we were able to process an arrest and a conviction out of those. I wish I could report the same regarding our 13, Your Worship, but we continue in our efforts as well. Niagara Regional Police Service have resources, including our frontline patrol officers, our detective support, and our crime analysts. However, most importantly, we need the resource of our community and our stakeholders in the community to assist in this issue. Your Worship, we're looking for the support of City Council tonight and ongoing as always. The Council has supported initiatives throughout our community, and we're looking to work with the Community Policing Committee and the community at large to identify strategies and initiatives to jointly address this issue. As Mr. Bright's referred to, things that may fall out of continued dialogue and efforts in cooperation with all of our stakeholders may lead to supporting nuisance and or property maintenance bylaws or consideration of such, education to our public, and leadership in general as organizations, and looking to both our private and public participants in our community. Your Worship, just echoing again the support of the community initiative, and as partners, we definitely support this and look forward to working with your staff should you embrace this initiative.
Thank you very much, Inspector. We appreciate that. We may have questions from members of council. Are there anything further, Mr. Bright, that you'd like to present to council?
Nothing at this time. We'd be pleased to answer.
You might want to explain the anachronism, Sarah, S-A-R-A.
You want to talk about that?
Sure.
Well, go ahead. Excuse me.
Just go ahead.
Just want to speak. I'm here as a member, certainly of the committee, but also representing our service. But I don't want to, not a thunder stealing thing, but this is an initiative that has been ongoing by the committee, and essentially it's a strategy that we've adopted to tackle community issues and identify milestones that we can achieve them together. Todd, if you want to speak a little further.
Well, sure. It's a problem-solving model that's been adopted by the Niagara Regional Police Service and community groups across the Niagara region. S stands for scanning, identifying a problem. In this case, we've identified graffiti. The A, analysis. We analyzed the information and found out that it touched all parts of the city. No one was immune from the problem. We had some preconceived notions going in that it might be this part of the city, it might be the downtown. Lo and behold, we found out it wasn't the downtown. It was all across our fair city. 3 is the response, and we've started to make a response. Here, this is part of our response. And 4 would be the A for Sarah, the assessment of actions. We're not there yet. This is our first in our actions, and we're seeking to move down that path. And we would like to come back here at another time with an assessment of our actions as a whole, as a city, in partnership with the many fine partners that we do have.
Good, thank you. Other questions by members of council? Yes, Councillor Fisher.
Not necessarily a trustee, but because I've sat on the committee for some long period of time, and I know the work that's been done on this particular project. And it's only when you're aware of graffiti that you now identify it. Like, at first it's graffiti, but now it's everywhere. It really is, and it's growing. And, you know, we talk about beautification. This is it. The longer it grows, the more it grows, the problem of beautification. This is, we get rid of it, and we ask the people to get rid of it within 24 hours. That's not an easy thing to do, but basically, that's what we're asking. Get rid of it within 24 hours, it's beautification. And the owners are really responding well, but we do need help, and I'm going to support your motion.
Well, you're going to have to make a motion first, so we can do that. Our motion. So the request, okay. And maybe before we do that, are there any other questions by members of council? If not, I'm going to ask the members of the community policing, Niagara Falls Community Policing, to stand who are with us today.
Please do.
Could they do so, please, so we can acknowledge them? Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Thank you. So, members of council, we have a request. Could we have a motion to refer to staff, please? Moved by Councillor Fisher, seconded by Councillor Carrio. Any further discussion or comments? Councillor Fisher?
Also, look at a bylaw so that it can be enforced. Thank you.
Okay, that'll be made into consideration. So thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll call the vote. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you again.
Thank you, Richard.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, could you introduce the next item on the agenda, please?
A public meeting is now being convened to consider a proposed amendment to the city zoning bylaw. To permit site works related to erosion control and slope stability at various addresses on Catherine Crescent. Notice was given by first-class mail in accordance with the Planning Act on Friday, January 16, 2009, and by posting a sign on the property in question. Anyone who wants notice of the passage of the zoning bylaw amendment or preserve their opportunity to appeal to the Ontario Municipal Board shall leave their name on the sign-in sheets outside the council chamber.
Thank you very much, Mr. Iafita. And at this time, I'm going to ask the planning director to explain the purpose and the reason for the proposed bylaw amendment. Mr. Hurlovich.
Thank you, Worship. This is the second time this application is before council. It involves 3 parcels of land on Catherine Crescent. It's a street that extends off of Caladero Drive. The application was initially brought forward to our office by Mr. Ilian, who had a house or has a house on the property. It's in the middle of the 3 lots in your location map. And the 3 lots, there are lots to the north and south of him, which are also affected by this specialized zoning. The rear of those 3 lots is zoned EPA, Environmental Protection Area. The zoning is on there because of slope stability. It's a very steep slope, being a former sand pit, and therefore the nature of the sands and so on, the designation was put on there to protect the slope of the land. The lands are also affected by Special Policy 552. 552 prohibits any work other than public utility type works. Mr. Ilian, in building his property, altered the slope at the back of his property. This is contrary to the zoning bylaw. He's come in then to seek permission for these slope alterations. The property is one that we actually support this move towards making this. Stopped on this slide because when council heard this application in December, there were objections from 2 people, one to the property to the north, where you can see looking north at this point, and one from the property owners to the south, which is the property on Rockcliffe Crescent. And so time staff met with both of those people in January to review their concerns. The resident on the Crescent had no concerns once he realized the distance from his property. The person to the north was more concerned about the creek into the woodland lot. Go backwards. You can see the lot to the north. It's a very small part of the triangle, and the creek just starts there and extends further north. It actually empties into a stormwater pond. Tony was concerned about the slope. This slope has to be regraded, 3-to-1 slope to stabilize the slope. They will require Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority approvals in order to move forward. The lands are designated residential. The back of those lands are protected, as I mentioned, for the steep slope. The intention here is to actually provide for then the only work besides public utilities that could occur is to stabilize the slope so that the slope doesn't collapse. And in order to do that, the applicants, the owners of those 3 lots, will have to work with the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. They can't go in and do the work on their own. And that's the intention, is to allow that same right to all 3 lots. Therefore, we're supporting the amendment for the environmental protection zoning for the back of the properties at 2096, 2108, and 2122 Catherine Crescent. Permit site works related to erosion control and slope stability, and they're subject to the next Conservation Authority.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hurlovich. Once again, members of the public are advised that failure to make an oral or written submission at this public meeting will result in the Ontario Municipal Board dismissing any referral it receives. Failure to sign the sign-in sheets will result in staff rejecting an appeal as per Section 34, subsection 19 of the Planning Act. Council will hear from anyone other than the applicant who wishes to speak to the proposed bylaw amendment. Is there anyone other than the applicant who wishes to speak to the bylaw amendment? Once again, is there anyone other than the applicant who wishes to speak to the proposed bylaw amendment? Having seen none, then Council will now hear from the applicant or his representative. Would you like to come forward, sir? Any comments you'd like to make, or would you?
No, I think we already said it.
Okay. Fine, thank you then. At that point, are there any further questions that Council requires for clarification? Having seen none, then the public meeting with respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is now concluded in the pleasure of Council. Councillor Diodati moves the recommendation, seconded by Councillor Iannoni. Any comments or discussion? Yes, Councillor Wing.
Just a question. Mr. Hurlovich mentioned that some regrading was done in contravention of the bylaw. What kind of penalties are there, if any, for doing that?
See if we can get an answer for you. Mr. Hurlovich, can you address that question?
I don't know. That would be up to the Conservation Authority. As I mentioned, there are alterations that have to occur to that slope, and the applicant will be working with the Conservation Authority to obtain that.
Perhaps we might ask a question by members of Council then, if I have one. Is the resolution to the slope issue, will it be reconstructed? Is that the intent, or will they just allow it to proceed? Do you know what the requirement's going to be, Mr. Hurlovich?
They will be working with the Conservation Authority to rectify it.
And
they have to change it.
They'll set that to the standards that the Conservation Authority has accepted?
That's correct.
Okay, or established? Good, thank you. All right, we'll call the vote then. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. Members of Council, I note that we have in the chambers this evening some individuals who are dealing with another item on the consent agenda, MW 2009-04, the Robinson Street cul-de-sac and Jollycut. I'm going to ask Council's indulgence for a motion to move that forward so we can have their presentation. So moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Diodati. All those in favor? Motion's carried. So I'll draw your attention then to the matter, Robinson Street cul-de-sac and Jollycut. Mr. Dulovic, can you address that?
Yes, through your worship. I think staff have been working with Mr. Michael DiCienzo on this matter for some time, and why this report is here before you tonight, staff made a number of requests to Mr. DiCienzo in moving this forward, and what he's requesting to see if there's
approval in principle. We're not saying that we're going to approve the lease at this time, but if there's an interest from this council to work out a win-win solution, to deal with the development that they have approval for their hotel tower. They would like to use a portion of the cul-de-sac to help with their entrance. And in exchange, council is looking at enhancing the Jolly Cut. We're not talking about doing any land exchange with the Jolly Cut. I think it's very clear. We told Mr. DiCienzo that the ownership of the Jolly Cut will remain in city hands. We're talking about enhancing the Jolly Cut itself, because when the hotel does go up, there will be an impact on what's out there today. If any of you have used that facility, the Jolly Cut, you'll note it's not in the best condition. Actually, back in the late 80s, the city looked at enhancing that and making it more user-friendly, and there was considerable cost at that time to carry out the repairs there. So what we're looking at is, is council interested in pursuing this? Because there'll be considerable expense on Mr. DiCienzo's behalf in order to do drawings, to look at the landscaping, to look at how to enhance that entry point, both from the Robinson Street end and down at from the Niagara Parks Commission end, and we will be engaging the neighbors in this and the public. And so, before he incurs those expenses, he's just looking as to, is council interested in pursuing this avenue?
Thank you, Mr. Dulek. We do have, members of council as well, additional correspondence that you have been supplied by the clerk from one of the neighbors, Mr. George Erich Jr., so I hope you could draw upon that as resource as well. I'm going to call on Councillor Iannone and Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is there a downside to this? Because I see this as a private business putting money into improving a public space that will still be retained for the public. There's no, we don't want a petition, we don't want the placards, we're going to still own this, but it's going to be in much better shape.
Mr. Dulek?
Yes, through your worship, and I'm, as I described it, often used term, it is a win-win. In that it will be maintained in public ownership, the Jolly Cut itself, and we think that it will be enhanced, and I think it'll be a plus to the development itself of the hotel tower and their operation. I would see some reduced costs to us in it, so all around it's a win for everybody in this, and I think there's still a lot of work to do. We will be engaging the neighbors, and it'll be back before this council. I mean, this is not a done deal. Before we ever enter into any license agreement, this council has to be satisfied that what is being proposed here is good for the community as a whole.
Councillor Iannone?
Thank you.
I have Councillor Wing and Councillor Pietrangelo.
I'm a little uncomfortable with approving in principle something I really don't have a handle on. We have the correspondence which expresses surprise at this coming forward at this point, especially when the writer had been assured by staff last summer that consultation regarding options would take place. I would like to defer this so that consultation with the and a review of the proposal in consultation with the neighboring properties could take place. And I think also, given that this property, the Jolly Cut, was the subject of the largest petition that I think we have seen in recent decades. I mean, there was over 5,000 signatures on that. The public has proven that it has very strong feelings and great concerns about the future. I think we need to be very open and transparent about this whole thing. And I just think the best way to proceed is for us to know when we are voting on this in principle what exactly it is we're looking at. I am not comfortable approving this evening, so
Councillor,
I will move deferral.
I was just going to ask you, though, I appreciate your motion, but if you wouldn't mind, there are a number of councillors who would like to speak, and we do have the applicant present, or the proponents present. Sorry, and yes, Mr. Dulek, do you want to address the matter?
Just to address the concerns, I know the last time that it was before this council, we were talking actual sale of the property. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about maintaining this in public ownership here. Maybe principle is not the right word. I think what Mr. DiCienzo is trying to get is if council simply says, no, this is a non-starter, we're not interested in doing anything with the Jolly Cut, then he won't incur these expenses. I think he just really wants to get some sense that it's something that this council is open to before he engages, I think it's Mr. Kirkland that he wants to, and potentially spending tens of thousands of dollars and coming up with concepts to satisfy this council. As I said, we will be engaging the neighboring property owners. This is all this is. It's just to say, hey, we're willing to entertain this. And so maybe using in principle is not the right words, but I think we're trying to determine, is there any opposition? If there's some real opposition from this council, Mr. DiCienzo, that doesn't want to proceed because there will be expenses that he will be incurring.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Dulvig. I know that Mr. Beeman, our solicitor, wants to make a comment, but members of council, I just wanted to give you enough information, then you can decide what course of action. So if you just bear with us for one moment. Mr. Beeman?
What I was just going to propose and follow along from Mr. Dulvig's observations and some of the reservations I've heard from the council so far, coupled with Mr. DiCienzo's legitimate concern, and he doesn't want to be spending a lot of money if this is an absolute dead non-starter. My understanding from our discussions with staff is that's what he wants to accomplish today is to understand that it's worth putting it forward. He knows that you're not committing yourselves, but he needs to know that it's not a non-starter right from the word go before he spends any money, which seems fair. I was wondering if we were to change the recommendation to that the city expressed interest in the concept of licensing Robinson Street would be sufficient. A resolution to that nature would be sufficient to achieve both Mr. DiCienzo's goals and to deal with the concerns the council has expressed. And also the opposition we've heard from other neighbors. Hopefully that it would be clear that the idea in and of itself is not rejected. The council has some interest in it, but there would be no commitment, and especially that magic word approval wouldn't be in there, which is always the one that tends to cause some controversy later on down the road should the project prove to be palatable to council. So I would have that the city expressed interest in the concept of licensing Robinson Street and the rest of the balance of the recommendation to read as it's a suggestion that might enable us to have a constructive discussion here tonight and move forward with this concept. Should council find it to be of interest?
Thank you for your input. We'll see if council wishes to do that. And we do have Councillor Peter Angelo and Councillor Carey I'd like to hear from as well.
Thank you, Mayor Southsea. I just wanted to say I don't really think it's fair to sort of sound the alarm bells every time the word jolly cut comes up. I mean, as Mr. Dulvig has already stated, the situation that we're faced with in the report tonight is starkly different from the one before. A few years ago, we were talking about, or there was a proposal here, we weren't talking about it, but to actually sell the lands to a private individual. This is much different. I mean, not only are we going to maintain public ownership, but, and Mr. Dulvig can correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to maintain public access, and we're also going to improve the Jolly Cut. So as Councillor Iannone said, I don't see there being a downside to this. But perhaps we can hear from the proponent.
Certainly. Thank you for your input. I appreciate the comments. And yes, I have Councillor Carriot and Councillor Maves.
Thank you, Your Worship. The only thing I was going to suggest was, or say that is the Urich's letter is addressed in the report, that there will be consultation with not just Mr. Urich, but all the property owners concerned. And I'm not too concerned. The project is approved, and I'm sure he wants to get started, and we'd like him to get started. So if there's anything we can do to help him, I think that we should move forward if we can. So I'd be prepared to, if the motion of Councillor Wynn to defer doesn't pass, then I'd be before.
Okay. Well, we haven't got a formal motion yet. I was just holding that till we had your input, so if you wouldn't mind, and we'll just see which way you want to go. Okay. So we'll just allow that motion to be presented, but at this time I'd just like to have, rather than cutting off dialogue and discussion. Councillor Maves?
Yes, I attended that site last year, and I think that this is great. There's going to be some work done in that area, and there'll be no cost to the city. And I think in going up and down the Jolly Cut, it does need an awful lot of work, and anything you can do to improve that would be certainly welcome. So that's I would certainly support anything that they want to do as far as improvements in that area are concerned.
Thank you. We do have Mr. Kirkland, Michael Kirkland, the architect for the applicant. I'd like to have a motion to allow him to speak, please. Moved by Councillor Peter Angelo, seconded by Councillor Iannone. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Welcome, Mr. Kirkland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am the designated architect for this particular work. I'm not the hotel architect. And we're looking at the Robinson and Jollicut corridor. I would remind Council of the other two ways from top to bottom that we have in Niagara Falls. One, of course, is Clifton Hills, which is a kind of kinetic, interesting, active urban corridor. We have a rather civic space, which we managed to get negotiated at the casino down Murray Hill. This is the naturalist corridor from top to bottom, so there would be three ways down. And obviously, anyone who knows the area realizes what a kind of what a disorganized and rather unpleasant and unrecognizable way it is, top to bottom at the top there. What's being asked tonight, and Mr. Dolivek in his document identifies the kind of things that might be contemplated to satisfy his requirements. We had meetings previous, and there was some discussion about doing designs and making kind of images in preparation, and others would have us do nothing, including not appearing here tonight. I think we're steering a proper middle course, which is actually to enter into a process of consultation and design, which will be very open. It would be with all of the adjacent landowners, the council, public, and members of city agencies, including and separately the Conservation Authority, to arrive at a suitable solution. So there's not a solution present. We declined to do schemes in absence of consultation because we thought consultation was the way to start this. And what's being asked tonight really is an agreement to pursue what might be done there to create one of the great three ways from top to bottom for Niagara Falls, which obviously would benefit both the adjacent landowners, the Oaks and Yurch properties, as well as the new western site, and most importantly would create a clear public corridor for the city from the top to the bottom, something I'm very interested in. So all we're really asking at this point is that we be encouraged to enter into a process to explore through consultation what might be done. And as was said before, the improvements to Jollicut would be borne by the development. They clearly see interest in improving the area. But I should hasten to add, it's improvements that would be beneficial to the city at large and to the adjacent landowners as well, and they would be the early contacted parties for consultation.
Thank you. Are there any questions of Mr. Kirkland by members of council? Yes, Councilor Carriel.
Do you have any objection, Mr. Kirkland, to adding that? What Mr. Lusher suggested the concept, adding that word concept into the support the concept of licensing the Robertson Street concept.
I'm not a lawyer, but it sounds similar to me.
Okay. Anybody else have a question of Mr. Kirkland? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kirkland. Pleasure of council. Councilor Wing.
Actually, it was not support the concept, it was express interest in the concept. I'm a little more comfortable with that, but what concerns me is that the Jollicut is a cultural heritage landscape. Mm-hmm. It's known and loved by the community as a nature trail, and I really think there needs to be public involvement as early on as possible in what's to be done with it. The public has demonstrated in the past that there is a great attachment to that particular trail. I didn't have a problem with the cul-de-sac until I saw the correspondence from the Skylon earlier today, and they had problems with the cul-de-sac, and that wasn't anticipated. Once I saw that, then I became really concerned. I think we just have to be as open and transparent as possible about this, and it has nothing to do with the project that's already been approved. This is something above and beyond that. So I will move deferral because it does say in the report that Mr. Dulevik signed that it's staff's recommendation, the city approve in principle the concept of licensing it, and I am not comfortable with that at all.
Councillor, could you just qualify deferral to which or to what?
To allow consultation with the interested parties.
Well, where does that get us? So if we defer, I don't understand your motion.
We need to give the budding landowners a chance to get involved as early as possible so they can understand what it is that we're expressing interest in, interested members of the
Then do you
public.
wish to make that your motion as opposed to the deferral? Because deferral would just mean it goes nowhere. I don't know, like you have to qualify. Would you like to engage the public then to look at whether to engage the public and the neighbors with regard to the interest in the concept
Yes.
of? Can we insert that? Is that
Yes.
Could you make that motion then?
Okay, so deferral to engage the public and the neighbors in consultation regarding our expression of interest in the concept of licensing the cul-de-sac at the bottom of Robinson Street and the Jolly Cut.
Is there a seconder to that motion? Councillor Ioannoni, you second the motion?
I'll second it. Basically, all it is she's moving the recommendation, asking for comment from the community.
That's right.
Okay.
I just wanted to qualify that because to defer it wouldn't make sense. No, members of council, any other comments? So does everybody understand? Councillor Diodati?
I just want to understand, clarification. What exactly, are we restating the motion? Or are we, can we have some clarification? Maybe the clerk can shed some light?
I'm not sure if you can read her mind, but Mr. Clerk, do you want to attempt to try that?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I think the motion as expressed or the recommendation as suggested by Mr. Beeman's a little bit different than what Councillor Wing's suggesting. I mean, from what I gather from Councillor Wing, we're talking about opening a big public process at the outset, and I don't think that's what we're saying. We're saying this is a concept. Is council interested in pursuing the concept, and then it'll take its normal course, as stated by Mr. Dulovic and Mr. Beeman. There's no point for Canadian Niagara Hotels to start investing time and effort if this is a non-starter from the get-go.
So, to qualify then, members of council, we have a proponent who wishes to make a proposition, doesn't want to take ownership, but wants to, I presume, display what they can do with the access way. So, Councillor Wing, in order to engage the public, you need something to present to them. So I'm not sure if your motion achieves that, but can you, yes, Mr. Clerk?
I think the concern from Mr. Urich's point of view was just the fact that the report came to council and he had never seen it before or knew it was coming. So my suggestion would be that the deferral motion would be more to circulate the report as is to Mr. Urich, Mr. Oakes, etc. I mean, we could have it, it's on our website for anybody else that has an interest in it. That, I think, is the more appropriate deferral motion.
So, Councillor Wing, having heard that, do you wish to amend your motion? Okay. Do you want to state your motion again then, please?
It's to defer so that consultation with the abutting landowners and interested members of the public can take place. So everybody knows right up front before we even say, yes, we have interest in entering into this licensing. Everybody knows, including us, what exactly we're getting into.
So you want to defer the entire matter rather than looking at the proposal, just defer it to see whether or not there's support from the public? Or
and from the budding landowners,
right,
who apparently promised that they would be consulted, and all of a sudden they get this, they find this surprising news that it's coming forward.
Mr. Clerk?
Well, I mean, clearly there's no concept yet. They haven't invested the time and money to do anything yet, so all we would really provide is this report to the budding landowners to see if they're interested. And like I said, this report's already public information for anybody else that wanted to comment on it.
And
Councillor Ioannoni.
That was, I didn't support a motion to defer. Okay.
Okay, so Councillor Wing, we haven't got a seconder to the motion that you presented. Is there anybody else who wishes to second the motion? Okay, there's no seconder to the motion, then I'll introduce another motion. Councillor Carrio, you wish to make a motion, you said?
I would make the motion that the city support the concept of the licensing of a Robinson Street cul-de-sac, subject to necessary plans as requested and prepared, and meetings with the neighboring property owners.
Okay.
I'm assuming that meetings with the neighboring property owners means input from the neighboring property owners.
Mr. Dilovic?
Through your worship, yes. I mean, there have been some early meetings on it, and I think it's clearly, I think before Canadian Niagara Hotels proceeds, I mean, they've known all along that it will involve input from the neighbors, and the neighbors will be at the table
and then we'll
all
be
along.
coming back to this council.
Yes, before there's any agreements going forward.
The neighbors will have plenty of time when it comes back to this council to give their input and have their say.
Yeah, and I think, in all fairness to Mr. DiCienzo, staff told him all this, and he says, well, before I go down this path, they just want to say, is there an interest in this? And I think it's very transparent. Not that we work away with the neighbors and then come back and say, well, we're not interested in this at all, and there's been a lot of effort expended. So I don't think, he doesn't want to go through all that if there really is no interest from council in looking at this.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councillor Carrier, seconded by Councillor Fisher. Anyone else wish to speak to this matter? Having seen none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor, please hold your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Opposed is 1. The motion is carried. Thank you very much. While we're on the consent agenda, members of council, we do have another attendee, and I noticed that Reverend Derek Rymarchuk is here. He's here with regard to CD 2009-02 with regard to marriage information. Can I have your indulgence to deal with the matter as well, out of order? All those, yes, a motion by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Maves. All those in favor? Motion is carried. So we'll have this matter presented to us. So, Mr. Clerk.
Yes, Your Worship. Reverend Derek sent some correspondence late last year. It's taken me a while to get back to it, but through his suggestions, we've posted some information on our website that provides information on local officiants, etc., who are in the marriage industry. So it's already up on our website. So this is really more of an information report to council to show that we followed up on his request. And my apologies, because I've been meaning to send him a copy of it, show him the link. It's already up there. I can even put it up right now if you want to see it.
Okay. So, yes, Councillor Pietrangelo. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Diodati, that Reverend Rymarchuk be allowed to make this presentation. Welcome, Reverend.
Thank you, Your Worship, and members of City Council. And I do appreciate, Dean, the effort that you did put into this great letter. And I just wanted to add to it a little bit. Just first of all, the reason why I wrote the letter, and that is probably some of you know that a lot of weddings do happen in the Niagara region, and especially here in Niagara Falls. And our company does a great deal of them. This year, or for sure next year, we're going to hit our 10,000th wedding, and that's just in the past 13 years. And so we're very proud of that, and an independent study by the Niagara College estimated that every year our company alone brings in $7 to $9 million into the local economy, because as we all know, brides and grooms just love to spend money. And so we're proud of that, and I appreciate so much the friendship that Dean has shown to us over the years, and it's certainly been a great relationship. And so the reason why that I wrote the letter is because a few months ago, somebody came into our office. We also have limousine service, and they were booking a limo. And I said to them, "Oh, where are you getting married?" And they told me, and I said, "Oh, who's doing your service?" And they told me, and I actually knew the officiant. And I noticed in her hand she had like a list of, all these, services that were given to her. And I said, you have a list? And she said, yeah, we got it from City Hall. Well, she didn't really get it directly from City Hall, but what happened was when she got the license, City Hall had referred her to Information Niagara, and they in turn gave her a list of all these services that could, do weddings. And I noticed on the list that there were services in Hamilton and, some of my competitors up that way and Fort Erie. So, just the thought came to me. I wasn't angry or, whatever that I wasn't doing the wedding, but what kind of sort of got me thinking was, if I don't do the wedding, at least I would like for one of my peers in the city to do the wedding so that we could keep the jobs here. Because nothing against Hamilton or, Fort Erie, but we know that if they come down here and do the wedding and they take their fee home with them, they're going to buy the big screen TV and the car in their own city, and they're not going to spend it here. So why not keep the jobs here in our city? So that's the reason why I wrote the letter. Just simply, unequivocally, nothing for myself, not for my own interest, but just to keep the jobs here in our own city. So what I did was, I mentioned to Dean, I did some research, and I found that some other cities do the exact same thing. For instance, the city of Barrie. A couple that came to me from Barrie. Barrie, of course, is one of our competitors as far as destination weddings up in, cottage country. And then also I'm going to talk a little bit about Kingston and how they also do a lot of weddings as well. So Barrie, what they do is they give you a list of names, and what they do, Dean and Barrie, is they actually have it, the officiant's name, not like the company name, and they have it like in alphabetical order, and they give that to the couple. Also in Kingston, off their website that I printed off today, it says, marriage ceremonies. The Justice of the Peace in Kingston no longer do ceremonies. A list of individuals who are registered with the Office of the Registrar General and have indicated their willingness to perform marriages is available upon request from the Kingston City Hall office, telephone 613-546-4291. There's no cost to be on the list. It's also in alphabetical order. And I called one of the officiants who I helped get started in weddings up in Kingston, and he said there's approximately 15 names on the list. So there's two examples, Kingston and Barrie, and also in St. Catharines. I know for a fact, I don't have it before me, but they also provide a list. So I got thinking, if all these other cities do it, why can't we in Niagara Falls? Like, there's no real reason why we can't do it. Now, I understand from Dean's letter that he had mentioned, he said prior to becoming the clerk, he was concerned about people making referrals to specific officials and wedding providers in the community. I found no evidence of this, but instituted an internal practice, that people would be referred to independent places like Information Niagara, which makes sense. Then there's no preferential treatment. But what I said in my letter was, if we provided a list with everybody on it, then there's no preferential treatment. It's simply print it, put into the marriage envelope, and it just says this is a list. This has nothing to do with the city of Niagara Falls. We are in no way responsible. We don't reflect any of their views, whatever disclaimer. This is just simply for you. Now, also in the letter that was written, it was mentioned that a good majority do plan their weddings before they come. That is so very true, Dean. There's very few spur-of-the-moment weddings. But for those few that are spur-of-the-moment, why not provide them with a list in alphabetical order that has no preferential treatment to anybody? And I even took the time to make the list, and I went through a whole day. I went through the phone book and the website, and I said to Dean, the only bad thing is my ministry starts with A, and I'm first on the list. But sorry about that. But it was it wasn't on purpose. But I think, was there 20, Dean, on the list or so, or I can't remember. But there's a good.
There's 3 pages worth.
Yeah, but they're all people from Niagara Falls. So in addition to what Dean has written, I agree, Dean, and I would just ask for City Council to move a motion to just take it one step further and say not only are we going to put it on our website, but we will print off that list for you and we'll give it to each couple, because for this one reason, the website's good, but if in fact what Dean is saying is true, which it is, that most plan before, then what this will, the purpose of this will serve couples that are coming spur-of-the-moment weddings that don't have access to a computer. If you say to them, here's the website, they're here from wherever, they're not going to have access to the internet. So if we could just give them a printed copy. And lastly, before I'm seated, I'd just like to say this. Maybe some of you may say this, but if we do this for them, we'll have to refer restaurants and hotels and florists. But that's not true, and here's the reason why. You see, on a marriage license, which I brought, and I had the privilege of, with Mr. Mace, doing a big wedding in the park with 13 couples from China. But on this license, 3 things are required, Your Worship. Sign from the clerk's department, Paula Babel on behalf of Dean, signed by the officiant, and signed by the Registrar General. 3 signatures. So what we can tell people is this: if somebody calls and says, "Oh, you refer ministers, why can't you refer, flowers, or why can't you refer restaurants?" Because this is an essential, necessary service. In order to get married, it must be signed by 3 people: the issuer of the marriage license, the officiant, and the Registrar General. It's a 3-way partnership. It has to be done. You need a minister in order to get married. And so I would just say to you, if you would consider it, it's an essential service. Other cities do it. If Barrie does it, and Kingston does it, and St. Catharines does it, why can't the city of Niagara Falls? thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, members of City Council.
Yes, before you step down,
Sure.
there are some questions possibly. Councillor Maves, did you have a question for the Reverend, or do you want to make a statement?
No, Your Worship, I had the pleasure of assisting in that wedding this summer down in the park. Beautiful day, beautiful ceremony, a lot of happy people. And I think we got some exposure down in television in China. So I'd be prepared to make that motion.
Okay, Councillor Peter Angelo, do you have a question, or do you want a second motion?
No, Your Worship, I mean, I think that the Reverend makes a lot of sense in terms of keeping everything here local in Niagara Falls. And I mean, we're not acting partisan in the sense that the clerk's office would be choosing one over the other. They're giving them a list of all the services available in Niagara Falls. Mr. Maves is willing to make the motion. I'll be more than happy to second it. It's not going to be a cost to the city. As the Reverend has suggested, there will be a fee to be added to this list. So therefore, there should be an offsetting cost.
Your Worship, could I just
Yes, sure.
add one thing?
Certainly.
I just in part to the fee. I know that other cities don't do it, but I know that from a business standpoint, I know if you pay for something that it's more meaningful. And so I just figured if everybody just contributed a small, say like $50 administration fee, which we pay to Balls Falls Historical Chapel, we pay to, like other places that put us on lists. It's just an administration fee. And what it would create is, that $900 or $1,000 would cover the cost of the paper, the photocopying and things, and it wouldn't incur any cost to the city of Niagara Falls.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, can you make some comment on that, please?
Well, I'd sort of caution two things. Number one, whether a minister is required or an officiant's required, but it is a service. And municipalities have to be careful about showing local preference. I don't have a problem putting a number of lists on our website, but that doesn't prevent some other official from elsewhere in Niagara asking to be put on that list. And if you go to the St. Catharines example, actually most of the names on the St. Catharines website are actually Niagara Falls ministers. So you have to be careful when you set these sort of exclusionary practices that it may bite you in the butt, because now St. Catharines might want to remove the names of Niagara Falls officiants from their list. Mm-hmm. It's very rare that anybody comes into our office asking for officials. And we don't need to print out pages, because we actually do have computers in our office right at the front counter, and we would direct them there and they would be able to look at that themselves. We've provided different lists, Information Niagara, Niagara Falls Tourism, which also has a number of the same people on the list, and then Reverend Derek's list, which is an excellent list. So I would suggest that that's the way we deal with it. If somebody does ask in the office, we will direct them to the computer and they can look at any of the three lists.
Okay. Councillor Peter Angelo, you want to, okay, Councillor Maves.
That's my motion, whatever he said.
Well, you want to qualify that if we could, please, just so we get everybody else has the benefit of hearing. We're going to then, the recommendation that the clerk made is to not hand out a list and not charge a fee. Is that correct?
My recommendation is that you receive the report.
Well, Councillor Maves.
I think the Reverend was looking for a motion to approve
a list, yeah. Like I just to not to contradict Dean. Like I'm friends with Dean, and
no, that's
Dean,
fine. But
I just wanted to say, just further to a website, a list. Like if Dean is right, and rarely do they ask for it, then it won't cost anything, because you might only have to give out 50 a year. But if the list is there for those, I know one time a couple said to me, they said, I can't believe I went to City Hall, I asked them. They said, luckily we found you, but they said, I asked them who can marry us, and they said, oh, we can't tell you. We're not allowed to say. They said, you can't give us a list. What? They said, no, we can't do it. So I mean, if we just have the list, if it's just a few people that ask for it a year, it won't cost really much money. So we could have maybe 50.
Yes, let me just hear from the clerk again, Councillor Maves.
Really, this is a mountain out of a molehill. If somebody comes in and asks, we'll point them to the computer. If they want us to print something out, we'll print it out. It's very simple. Okay. But once again, we can't show local preference.
Councillor Maves?
There's actually no cost to the city then, and you want to forego the $50 fee and whatnot?
That's not necessary. Derek did all the work.
Yeah. Good. Do you want to make that motion then? Yeah. Okay, moved by Councillor Maves, seconded by Councillor Peter Angelo. Yes, Councillor Wing.
So the motion then is just the staff recommendation for information of council?
And to have the list available on the computer?
Yeah, which is part of that.
Right.
It's in the report. So
yes.
okay.
And
I'll support that.
Not to charge a fee.
Is that the motion?
Yes. Is that what you like? Okay. Okay. Is there anybody who wishes to second? Pardon? Councillor Mays, want to qualify, please?
Well, I think we're getting off track here. I think that the motion was that just we're going to approve the report.
That's moving the recommendation.
Also, and the recommendation, I think, is to include the list of marriage venues in the city.
On computer.
On computer.
Right. That's the motion that Councillor Peter Angelo doesn't want to second. So is there another seconder? Pardon? Okay.
No, I said it would be available if they request it. We direct them to the computer, and if they ask for a printout, we'll print it out.
Okay.
You know, that's the way we do business. There's nothing really to approve here. We're already doing that, and we'll do that for anybody who asks.
So Councillor Maves, that's clear for you on making the motion. Councillor Peter Angelo, is that acceptable? Okay, it is acceptable. Yes, Councillor Diodati.
I just want to make clear with the Reverend's comment earlier that all the staff in the clerk's department realize they can in fact refer them to the list, and they should in fact refer them to the list.
Do you want that qualified by the clerk, Mr. Clerk? Is that the procedure?
Yes, as mentioned in the report, not the letter, it's a report, that we refer them to an external source, so there's no accusation that we're referring to specific officials, because there were those accusations in the past.
Okay. Council now well informed to make the decision. Councillor Peter Angelo.
Yeah, Your Worship. Can I just qualify with the external sources? Information Niagara and Niagara Falls Tourism?
Correct, and now and also Reverend Derek's list.
Can we make it only the list?
Pardon me?
Can we make it only the list?
No, I wouldn't suggest that.
Okay. We have a motion then. I'm sorry?
I'll withdraw my second.
I'm seconding.
Okay, Councillor Peter Angelo withdraws a second, and Councillor Wing will second that motion. So are the members of council clear? We have a motion before us. Okay. Any other questions? We'll call the vote. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposed? 2. Okay, the motion is carried. Thank you very much, Reverend.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Members of council, since we're on the consent agenda, can I have a motion to receive and deal with the balance of the consent agenda? Is there anything you wish to have removed out of the consent agenda? First of all, let me have a motion to deal with the consent agenda at this point, moved by Councillor Fisher, seconded by Councillor Peter Angelo. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Now, is there anything you want to wish to remove from the consent agenda? Having seen not a motion then to adopt the balance of the consent agenda, moved by Councillor Peter Angelo, seconded by Councillor Iannoni. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Members of council, I'm just going to move on to my comments. I have some brief comments to make this evening, and first of all, I'd like to offer our condolences to Sandy Bird and her family as they grieve the loss of Sandy's mother, Alice. Sandy Bird is a long-time, I should say, member of the Mayor's Disability Advisory Committee, and also to the family of Mr. Michael Delben on the passing of Mr. Delben, another prominent businessman in the city of Niagara Falls and contractor and owner of the Old Stone Inn, who passed away this past Friday. Again, I'd like to extend our thoughts and prayers to the family, and we have sent letters of condolences to them as well. As well, I was delighted to have the opportunity to meet a number of ministers from the provincial government as they visited Niagara Falls for their Liberal caucus this past week. Pursuant to Council's direction on growth initiatives, I was pleased to meet with Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Mr. Jim Watson, as well as Minister of Energy and Infrastructure, Mr. George Smitherman. Along with staff, we were able to discuss some important issues for the growth of our Northwest Quadrant. In addition, the Minister of Tourism, Monique Smith, visited our office, and we were able to touch on a number of items relative to tourism in our community, including our progress on the Niagara Civic and Convention Centre and the continued development in our tourism sector in Niagara Falls. I was pleased as well that the provincial government caucus chose Niagara Falls as their meeting place, and as always, we were more than happy to accommodate their needs and to have them spend time to visit in our city and to visit with them as ministers as they travel to Niagara Falls. In addition to the important meetings that took place this last week, there have been a number of exciting events in our community. And as you know, the last week of January was the Family Literacy Week. Students, schools, and families were encouraged to get involved in reading. It was a week full of activities around our community, and I was very happy to take part and visit with the staff and students at Forest View School during their Literacy Week program. Members of our Chinese community as well in Niagara Falls celebrated the Year of the Ox during the Chinese New Year festivities held this past Saturday, I should say. It was an honor again to join the many residents that were in attendance for the celebration of the rich traditions and the Chinese culture in our city. I know that you will join me in wishing members of our Chinese community a Happy New Year. And as we look ahead to the upcoming weeks, I'd like to wish everyone in our community a very happy Family Day. Many of you will be taking part next Monday to spend quality time with your families. In our community, as we know, we are often the destination of families who come here for a visit together. So we look forward to continuing being able to host families in Niagara Falls as they take a break and join in family activities together in our city. And that concludes my remarks. Councillor Ioannoni.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Did you have an opportunity to talk to the Premier?
I only, for a moment, just to, as I stood beside him, I thanked him for coming to Niagara Falls, but just, I didn't have a meeting arranged with him.
Did you happen to get an opportunity to mention the NHS to either Minister Kaplan or Premier McGuinty?
No, I didn't. I saw Kaplan on the way out, but I know that a number of members of your committee there. I'm not sure if they did. I asked our MPP Kim Crater, but there was no meeting set up for that I understand. So I didn't have
Our request has gone out, as I think the letters have from this council, but I just figured if you were there and you were discussing topics, that might have been an appropriate one to bring up.
Yes, thank you. Just one other item I'd like to announce as well, just so we don't miss it, that just to be aware that this year the Mayor and Council's Chili Cook-Off is coming up again on Tuesday, February 17th, in conjunction with Tuesday. I want to remind everybody that all proceeds will support Project Share. And once again, it will be an exciting event, complete with the new chili entrants, the celebrity judges, and the People's Choice for Best Chili contest. It's being held at the Optimist Club on February 17th from 11:30 to 2 p.m. Tickets can be purchased by contacting my office or Project Share, and I look forward to seeing another record crowd at this year's Chili Cook-Off, so we wish them well as well. Thank you. Okay, communications and comments. Move on to item number 1. Broderick and Partners proposed pumping station force main. Pardon? Refer to staff. Moved by Councillor Cario, seconded by Councillor Peter Angelo. All those in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. Blue Box Program Review, Waste and Diversion Review, Association of Municipalities' position on the Blue Box. Recommendation that Council support AMO's position. Again, moved by Councillor Wing, seconded by Councillor Ioannoni. All those in favour? Motion's carried. Are there any additional items for Council's consideration, Mr. Clerk?
No, Your Worship.
Okay, I'm going to ask for ratification of Corporate Services Committee recommendations. I'm going to ask the Chair, Councillor Peter Angelo, to step forward, please.
Thank you, Worship. Following items that will be ratified from tonight's meeting. First, that the minutes of the January 26, 2009 meeting be adopted as recorded with an amendment to item 3 on page 2 that Councillor Wing had a conflict. Under spending cuts, Your Worship, it was recommended that staff reduce the 2009 general purposes budget by the highlighted items in the 2009 budget reduction considerations presentation, with the exception of the Project Share grant in the amount of $31,400. It was also recommended that staff reduce an additional $5,000 from the Mayor's Office advertising account. Also recommended that staff report back to Council regarding the preferred pool location reductions. Also recommended that staff report back on the best financial returns for the existing arena sites, which will be decommissioned as a result of the completion of the Bob Gale Arena Complex. The report should include appraised values. It was also recommended that staff investigate and report back on potential cost savings due to staff reductions caused by attrition. Under the Board of Museums funding, it was recommended that staff accept the Board of Museums' revised, reduced budgets. Getting into reports, Your Worship, we had one tonight dealing with the water and sewer rate structure. We had an issue with time, and it was recommended that the report be deferred to the next corporate services meeting. And I think it was also part of the recommendation that that stakeholders be invited, Your Worship, to give some public consultation. Under new business, there was 2 recommendations, Your Worship. First, that staff report back regarding future uses of the Heritage Week Reserve Fund. And lastly, that staff report back on further reductions to the 2009 general purposes budget. And I would so move the minutes.
Moved by Councillor Peter Angelo, seconded by Councillor Diodati. Any comments or questions? Having seen none, all those in favour? Motion's carried. You're fine? Okay, thank you. Mr. Clerk, are there any additional bylaws or amendments to the bylaws for Council's consideration this evening? Having seen none, then can I have a motion to introduce the bylaws? Bylaws be given a first reading. Moved by Councillor Peter Angelo, second by Councillor Diodati. Once again, Council's heard the motion. Any questions or comments? Having seen none, all those in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Bylaws 2009-23 to 2009-25 are at a first time.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to give the bylaws a second and third reading? Moved by Councillor Peter Angelo, seconded by Councillor Cario. And once again, Council's heard the motion. Any further questions or comments? Having seen none, all those in favour? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Bylaws 2009-23 to 2009-25 read a second and third time and passed.
Thank you. Move on to new bylaws. I'm sorry, new business, sorry, after bylaws. Councillor Diodati.
Yes, Your Worship, two items. One, I wanted to get support from this council. Once again, Earth Hour is coming up on Saturday, March the 28th at 8:30 p.m. And last year we had the city support through the city's website to encourage people, local residents' participation in what they were doing, to be posted on the city's website, promoted through the city. So I would start by making a motion to request that the city participate again.
Moved by Councillor Diodati once again, and seconded by Councillor Ioannoni. All those in favor? Motion's carried. I think work has begun already internally, from what I understand. Good.
Yeah, there was some communication that we definitely want to do again.
Great.
Thank you. And second thing, there's been some questions coming up as of late in regard to the arena, surrounding our new four-pad arena. And there's been a little bit of misinformation circulating around the community. So I was able to clarify it with our Director of Parks, Recreation and Culture. And I asked Ms. Morrissey if she would mind clarifying it publicly. One of the ones we've been hearing a lot about is that there's going to be less or smaller change rooms and things of this nature. And I just wondered if we could ask
Certainly.
for clarification.
Ms. Morrissey, could you address those, please?
Through your worship, since the original plans of the arena dating back a couple of years, there's been no change to the dressing room number nor their size. When we came back to you in April of 2008 with the space reductions, the dressing rooms remained untouched. So we have a total of 20 dressing rooms, and that includes the visitor dressing room. In addition, we have 2 dressing rooms dedicated to both the B's and the C's. And as council is aware, we have naming opportunities. I'll do the plug for $15,000 a dressing room as part of the campaign, and 2 of those dressing rooms are currently named. So no change to the dressing rooms, no change to the size. I think when we're open, people are going to be very happy with those dressing rooms.
Thank you. Councillor Diodati.
Thank you very much, Ms. Morrissey. Now, the other thing, I did have a question, and this was brought to my attention, and I'm not exactly sure what direction we're taking in regard to management of the facility. I don't know if we've got any kind of direction. I mean, are we, do we want this to be more of a tax challenge with what's coming, or are we going to turn it into a profit center? And I know that's been a question that's been addressed too, and I just wondered what direction we're going in this regard. I don't know if Mr. Dulovic or that'd be Mr. Burton or Ms. Morrissey, or who wants to take on that one.
Ms. Morrissey?
Management.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Morrissey?
Through your worship, when we originally presented the business plan back, it was based on optimizing revenues and minimizing expenses, particularly through the efficiencies of 4-pack. We had originally projected in those big spreadsheets that we had provided to you that we would be operating at a projected $200,000 subsidy per year. So that was a significant reduction based on our current subsidy collectively of about $1.6 million. Staff will still review that going forward as to lower that subsidy level. Potentially it could be anywhere between 100 and 150, which is a fairly efficient operation. And we'll be bringing back to council on the 23rd of February the recommendations for the advertising partnership for the RFP, as well as the food and beverage concession partnership, which were all part of the key business principles and achieving revenue targets. So that in a summation is that it's supposed to be a very efficient operation, minimizing taxpayer support to the best of our ability. And I should note, too, that currently the business plan was based on, and this was critical, that the savings by closing Jack Bell, Stamford, and Memorial, those annual savings were going to be accrued and also applied to offsetting the debt load against the overall capital projects of this endeavor, as well as our long-term operating costs.
Councillor Diodati?
Thank you, Richard. And that's great, but my question still is more in regard to the marketing and management of the facility, because there obviously are professional companies that run the facilities like John Labatt Center and whatnot that go after events, similar to the convention center. We have a professional that's what they do, and I'm just wondering, have we given any consideration to the idea of having it? Of course, it'd still be city run, but I'm talking about someone that would manage and promote the facility to help. Because the idea, I guess, is that we don't want it to be a tax burden at all. Why not turn it into a profit center? We're going to spend $35 million on it. Why not let it turn a profit that can be turned back into the community? And that's my question: is have we given any consideration, Your Worship, to the idea of having some kind of a management team help to promote and market it?
Let's see if Ms. Morrissey can answer that question as well.
Certainly, through your worship. The current model was based on ensuring that it was still a city-run with city staff facility. If you're talking about a third-party private operator, that would be a different approach. I'm certainly we can take the direction of my colleagues in how we do it, but I know I can have a brief input that I know that in the consultation with our unionized colleagues, that was fundamental to them in the assurance that their jobs and that the collective agreement was respected. We currently have arena operations that are a component of the unionized staff, and that was the model we went forward with, including trying to find very aggressive optimization of revenues. And we believe that the marketing side will actually be facilitated, particularly as Council recently approved the ice allocation and turn back. Well, no cancellation is a better approach, because when we free up the ice that we know is available to community, that should be able to allow us to find market and bring new people and new users to the city of Niagara Falls.
Councillor Diodati, I'm not sure if that's answered your point.
Kind of. I'm not suggesting, as I mentioned in my preface, that we would eliminate any jobs or anything going against the collective agreement. My suggestion is not in the operation, as I said, it's in the management and the marketing and the promotions of it, an area that the city, I don't believe, have the in-house expertise. And that's my question.
So perhaps you want to make a motion?
Yeah, that we would explore that, Your Worship.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of competition out there for these kind of venues, and if we could put ours front and center, let people know it's available, then perhaps we could, pursue this idea.
So you're making that motion then, Councillor?
I would make that motion.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Pietrangelo. Any discussion? Having seen none, all those in favour? Motion's carried, so we'll direct staff to investigate that possibility. Okay, thank you. I have Councillor Carrio and Councillor Iannone.
Thank you, Your Worship. Got a letter from a resident who's asking us, considering the amount of money that we are spending on a convention center and an arena, what the city council and staff are doing to ensure that the local workers have a chance at the work at these big projects. Just not to mention names, but the last line of it suggests that wages from this project generated in Niagara should stay in Niagara. We should be supporting our local workers and local economy as a citizen. They would like to see the local people have that opportunity to work. I don't know, you might be able to give a bit of a...
Certainly. We've been dealing with a number of these letters, Councillor Carrio and members of council, and we have contacted the construction office in St. Catharines with regard to that, the circulation of those letters, and we do have response for council as well. So, Mr. Doolittle, could you like to respond?
Yeah, through your worship, I know with the convention center, they are a union shop. Other than key personnel, they're looking at using local labor. They are looking to local suppliers. I know they've talked to ES Fox and other suppliers to supply materials to the project. So they're going to make every effort, when they did their presentation, involving as much local people as possible, because Montreal's located out of the Toronto area, and there's a lot of travel time. So they're looking again to the local trades to supply labor at this market. And being it is a union hall, they will be calling on local labor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Iannone.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, that was the email I had up also, and it's a number of them that we've received. But Dean just made a comment that who was it that said the construction office is in St. Catharines? We're going to walk a fine line here on protectionism if we're saying, are we looking at keeping the Niagara region working, or are we looking at keeping just Niagara Falls? Because he asked us to look at just keeping Niagara Falls people working, and then you've got Niagara Falls businesses bidding on St. Catharines jobs. I mean, this is a fine line, and yes, we all want to keep local people working, but you're going to have Beamsville no longer. I mean,
this is a regional effort.
Yeah.
I think we all acknowledge that. The region is
that's
involved.
not what we were asked. We were asked to keep Niagara Falls employees, and I think that the people watching need to understand. Once we start down that slippery slope, St. Catharines will only hire St. Catharines employees. Dean talked about that about the website. Our own. Federal minister or prime minister was talking about protectionism when President Obama said, keep the jobs here. We're Niagara region, and I don't think we can just directly pull from here, or our people here are going to lose jobs in other communities.
There may be legislation preventing that as well. So, Mr. Yufita.
Exactly. There's legislation preventing that. Secondly, especially in the construction industry, whenever there's any proposal for local preference, the actual workers say, wait a minute, no, we want to have as much opportunity to work in St. Catharines, Beamsville, wherever, Cambridge. And all of our processes are open and transparent. There's RFPs, so there's always opportunities for local involvement.
Councillor Carrier.
I think what Mr. Julick was describing, if they're using unions, they'll call the local union first. They'll make a call to the local union hall, which would be our union hall. Then St. Catharines, then whatever.
But I think they're located, the one hall I think is in St. Catharines, that's where it is. So.
It's the closest local.
That's right.
It's the closest local.
Yeah,
All my concern is that our people get an opportunity.
Thank you.
And through the worship, and that's how unions operate. I mean, it's a local that represents usually the region, and it's based on seniority, and they call in the people, whether they live in Niagara Falls or they're from St. Catharines, and that's where they'll call them from.
Better than Oshawa, Toronto.
That's right. You know, they'll look to local labor, and I think you also have to remember that when you talk about the convention center, you've got federal and it's mostly federal and provincial dollars. There aren't local dollars really from the municipality going into this. So those type of things, they wanted an open process to all people to be able to work on that project.
Okay, thank you. Motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Pietrangelo, seconded by Councillor Carrier. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, members of council.